And welcome to another Mark Bishop show. You know, when you think about it, do you know how to live with wildfires? They're certainly in the news lately, and if you don't know anything about it, where have you been? Now, this episode is about learning how to prepare your home and finances for wildfires, because they're real. We have science-backed action steps to help prevent ember ignition and why it's important to contact your insurer to make sure that you have the right coverage. Well, you'd be surprised at people who don't. With me is Karen Collins, Vice President at American Property Casualty Insurance Association. That's APCIA. Welcome, Karen.
Thanks. Great to be with you.
Ann Cope, PhD, PE, Chief Engineer at Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, IBHS. Welcome, Ann.
Thanks for having me.
IBHS wildfire research shows 3 vulnerable areas of a home: the roof, specific building features, and the 5-foot buffer around the structure called Zone 0. When mitigated, if they're handled properly, they can reduce drastically, apparently, the risk of ignition. Creating and maintaining a non-combustible Zone 0 around a home may require a shift in mindset, it seems, but doesn't have to lessen a home's curb appeal, does it? So let me ask you, what's your thoughts on that?
So absolutely. There are definitely 3 key things that homeowners need to take a look at around their own house. Fortunately, most people already have a Class A roof. You need to be worried about that if you know that you have a wood shake roof. So in that case, you think, I might need to save up and replace that. The exterior features of the building are going to be the 6 inches at the very base of all the walls. You want that to be non-combustible, so like block or concrete or stucco. You want non-combustible right at the bottom of the wall. And then those vents that go into the attic or the crawl space, you want those to be ember resistant. And lastly, one of the most critical things, and something that every homeowner can do, is to change that landscaping and that first 5 feet right around your home. You don't want small spot fires right there ready to ignite the house. So you want to use non-combustibles in that area.
Karen, how can you prevent underinsurance and ensure that your finances are protected, before a wildfire?
Yes, this is such a critical topic. I would say hot topic for a little pun there. But we've seen really severe inflation and increase in disasters and some lingering supply chain issues that are all resulting in much, much higher costs and timeframes to recover after these losses. And many homeowners, if they just haven't taken a look and updated their insurance policy recently, could find that they are underinsured. But you can certainly prevent that. The tip is that you got to do that annual insurance checkup where you go over your key coverages. Talk to your insurance company, call them, call your agent, discuss those policy limits and the coverage that you have. What you want to make sure is that your policy reflects the right square footage and the materials of your home. If you've done any home improvements recently, we saw a lot of that during the pandemic with a lot of, kitchen remodels or new rooms that were added on. Make sure you've communicated that to your insurance company and it reflected in your policy. There's also some really good optional features that you might consider adding if they're not already part of your policy. For example, extended replacement cost coverage. This will give you an extra layer of financial protection if that demand and cost for materials and labor spike after a disaster. There's also increased ordinance and law coverage, which will give you some additional protection if you have to rebuild to a newer building code, or also some of these green energy codes like solar panels that might be required. And lastly, increased additional living expense coverage. If you want to boost that a little bit, it may give you some extra funding. It's going to take a longer time frame to rebuild and you're out of your home longer. And so if you've got longer hotel costs or if you're in a temporary house for an extra year, couple of years while you're going through a rebuild, that could be some extra funding.
Wow.
But one of the things that some forget about is if you're a renter, don't forget that you have that same risk. And a lot of people forget to get renter's insurance. And it's really simple and can be very affordable when you bundle it with your auto policy. So we tend to focus on homeowners, but renters really need to pay attention to some of these as well.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I think, that tends to stay out of mind, doesn't it? Because you're a renter, you don't think of things like this. But anyway, and I want to ask you this. What are the key steps? We've covered a lot of things you can do in reference to, certain things in a house and the zone and the zero zone and all that resistant to embers igniting and burning your home. What about combustible materials, trim trees overhanging the home, debris from roof and gutters? There's a lot of stuff that shows they even start the spot fires, right?
Absolutely. So what you need to do is to be able to break the chain. That first 5 feet and the cleanliness of the gutters and things around the house is key to being able to prevent the fire from lighting right next to you and taking it right into your home. So even well cared for bushes that are beautiful and green, sadly, those are little green gas cans right next to your home. Mm-hmm. And you need to have a new mindset of moving all of those things that can catch fire more than 5 feet away from your structure, and use gravel and pavers and hardscaping and stone and metal fencing. Use those things next to your home to prevent the ignition from tracking all the way there and then letting it inside.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to consider. And the other thing, too, I think, is the home inventory, which you recommend. That's a smart move to account for property and valuables. It's too late when it's over, isn't it?
Absolutely. Most overlook the value or benefit of a home inventory. It's not just wildfire. It's really a great tool for any disaster, but particularly wildfires, just because tragically, very little is left behind after these devastating losses. But in the claims process, you'll actually need to submit a list of all of those different items that were either damaged or destroyed as part of the claim itself. And it's much easier if you already have that ready to go. So simply just go through your home. It's as simple as taking out your smartphone and taking video or photographs of all your belongings and keeping that inventory and photos outside of the house or in a fireproof safe or stored in the cloud.
Right.
But I mean, most don't realize all you got to do is go through each room, open up the drawers, the closets, maybe check in the garage, and you're just describing what you have as you're taking these videos, maybe what you paid, where you bought it. If you have a higher end items like these electronics, maybe zoom in and get some of those serial numbers. But just, again, as simple as having a record of that, so you're not having to think about all of these items and recreating a list from memory in the event the worst does happen.
Right.
Super simple, but incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and very clever, really. It's such a simple thing, as you say, but very, very smart. And not only that, it's the price of replacing things and so on. I mean, and homes today, I mean, if you were unfortunate enough to lose, and this is why you've got to check your insurance. I mean, the price of building materials has risen by, 38% or something? And the price of labor's gone up over 38% since March 2019. It's gone through the roof, right? So inflation, supply chain issues, increased demand for construction materials, they all whack the price up, okay? Labor, everything else included. So all of a sudden, your insurance, well, hang on a minute. We're not even covered to be able to get another home. Yes? What do you say on that?
You know, your insurance is so incredibly important. Your home is usually your biggest asset, and you want it to be protected. So insurance provides that critical backup plan so that you can rebuild. What a lot of people think, oh, well, there's disaster grants. You know, federal disaster grants might be available, but often they are not enough to build a home. And so having that financial safety net in place is really the most important key, in having those steps that you take to make sure that you are financially prepared before those sparks begin to fly will make that recovery so much easier.
Well, we're just about out of time, but folks, I highly recommend that you go to their websites. There's a lot of information there for you, and you can, sit in your podgies with a cup of joe and read, and these are the two. Write them down, okay? Get a pen. We're talking at www.ibhs.org/wildfire ready. And the other, www.apci.org/wildfire. All right, they'll be up on the site on markbishopmedia.com. Their headshots are there as well, and their bios. You can read all about the ladies who are on today. You can even contact them. They'll help you directly. Wonderful advice, wonderful news. Thank you, both Karen and also to Anne, because, listen, I don't think there's a day we don't turn the news on and there isn't a fire somewhere.
There's so many fires happening. It's really unfortunate. We're well ahead of the acres burned so far this year, and it's events that we're seeing year round as well into winter. So definitely want to be prepared and protect your finances and property.
Thank you. Karen
Absolutely.
Collins.
We're seeing them all over the place. And you know what? People are not powerless. There's a lot of great stuff that you can do to make your home wildfire prepared.
Very much so. Very much so. Thank you. Our guest, Karen Collins, Vice President at American Property Casualty Insurance Association, and Ann D. Cope, PhD, PE, Chief Engineer at Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. So thanks to both of you, Ann and Karen, and have a great day. We'll be back with another episode shortly.